Huge news, 2024 Toyota 4Runner, sneak peek. Let's talk about what it's going to be. One thing we know for sure, it's going to give competition to the Ford Bronco. That's for sure. The 4Runners have always sold really, really well. The 4Runners have been traditionally unbelievably reliable. One of the most reliable vehicles in the automotive world. But it's also been a very dull product. Doesn't change very often. You get into a 2020 4Runner. Tell me it's a 1995. I could easily believe you. There's still parts. It's got the same cruise control switch that I had on my 91 Toyota, on my 2000 Celicas, my 94 Celica, my 2001 Celica. I've owned a lot of Toyotas. Trust me on this one. I love Toyota, but boy, you're one of the most boring products when it comes to almost never changing, but the upside, really, really reliable. But here the Ford 4Runner, even though it's really dated, I still like the current model. But what can we expect out of the new model besides just making the Bronco better? Because Ford doesn't want to lose sales to the 4Runner. It's going to help make everyone better. But the 4Runner, now for having a upgraded Jeep, having the Bronco with, a 12-inch touchscreen, they've got no choice. They're going to be a better product. You worked at Toyota. What were your thoughts about the 4Runner?
I really love that model first because it's the one to go off-roading. It's the major model to do that at Toyota. And I always found that it's a great look for a SUV. So you said, it didn't change that much since many, many years, but it has a great look that passed through the time, I guess.
I agree. Ridgeview had a 2001 4Runner, and I still like the 2001 4Runner, even when I see it today. And I know the Ford Bronco is going to age just as gracefully. It helps. Aging well helps with resale value. So it's good to shop these vehicles that age well. It previously, and currently I should say, it has a 6-cylinder. And that's a real weak spot. It's very, very reliable. It's roughly 22 years old. And it's not very fuel efficient. So there's another area that's going to get worked on. I've driven it. There's a bit of sound that comes off of it. I did a review. If you want to watch it on the channel, we did a review of, I think it was a 2020 or 2021 4Runner. I have trouble buying it as a used vehicle because the resale price is so high on this model. But I think getting a new one, I'd put my vote of confidence on that. But they're going to drop the 6-cylinder. They've dropped the 6-cylinder in the Toyota Tacoma for the 2024 Toyota Tacoma. And that 6-cylinder in the Tacoma was also horrible in regards to fuel economy. They have to drop it. But I would have liked them to upgrade it. I think why not copy Ford again? Throw in a twin turbo V6 like they did for the Tundra. But I almost can guarantee that's not what's going to happen. I expect the iForce 4-cylinder engine and the iForce Max 4-cylinder engine with hybrid option for extra torque to compete against Jeep is what I'm expecting out of this vehicle. Now, tell me more about what you like about it.
I like that it's big, so it looks comfortable. It's high, so reminds me of the Bronco, I guess. And I seen the new picture that you just showed before that they kept the side.
Now this isn't an official picture.
Not official.
This is from Hot Cars, but I think they've got a good just for it. I'd say if you like the look of the new Toyota, I called it back when they brought out the new Tundra. I said, folks, that's the look, basically the new design for the Tacoma. Expect the same thing out of the 2024 Tacoma. Well, I'm going to say it again. Look at the 2024 Tacoma and expect to be essentially, that's the new design language at Toyota. So the 4Runner is going to look very much like a closed box 4Runner. I think that's a good thing. Do you like the look of the new 4Runner?
Yeah.
Do you like the look of the new Tacoma, the 2024 Tacoma?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know with the Tacoma, the Tundra, they changed the front grille, so maybe that's why this one could be close from the real one. That will be, because I see the similarity of the look of the Tundra, the Tacoma, so it's a good guess.
The big difference between the 24 Tacoma and the 24 Tundra are the lights. So again, I think the big difference, you'll have slightly different lights when it comes to the 4Runner, but I think the design language of the grille, the bumper, the importance at Toyota of never putting tow hooks on something, or almost never putting tow hooks on something, will probably continue. But they probably will have an overlanding option. I do suspect a snorkel version, just like you have it on the Tacoma now. You've got that overlanding option at a big price, but very cool. I expect that to carry over. I think this is going to be one good looking vehicle, but we're going to get almost certain 2 4-cylinder options. So you look at Toyota Tacoma power, you look at the powertrain, and if you're not happy with the 2024 Toyota Tacoma, you're probably not going to like the 4Runner. Now, I expect the touchscreen, I called it for when the Tundra came out. I said the Tundra is probably going to come out with a new touchscreen to keep up with the competition. They're due. They're almost 20 years overdue. Just a bit of a joke, exaggeration. They're 10 years overdue. So the Tundra came out with a new screen. Then when I was predicting and doing sneak peeks on the Tacoma, I said, well, I really expect the Tacoma to come out with the same touchscreens as on the Tundra. And that's exactly what happened. Well, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be repetitive. The new 4Runner is going to have the same screens that you have over in the Tacoma. So check out 2024 Toyota Tacoma interior photos. And if you like that, you're going to like this, folks. I actually think this design, which is by Hot Cars, I think it's actually better than the current Tacoma. So I think I'm going to like this photo probably more than the real 4Runner when it comes out, but we'll wait to see. But it's going to have a bit of, platform like the Tacoma and the Sequoia. So you're going to have a vehicle that's going to be a little bit longer, a little bit wider, meaning it is going to have better handling. I don't mind the handling on the 2020 or 2021 4Runner that I drove around. I found the suspension was decent. Was nowhere near the comfort that I get out of the Bronco. I think that's going to be a major improvement. Having a wider and longer wheelbase of this new platform is going to give you a vehicle that handles the bumps a lot better, but surprisingly also the bendies. And I think Toyota can improve. Current models are okay in the bendies, and they're okay on the bumps, a little stiff on the bumps, but I think we're going to get a better driving experience out of the TNGA platform because it's going to be lighter, stronger, longer, and wider. So we're going to get definitely a better suspension. So powertrains, we can definitely expect that those 4 cylinders will have a hybrid option. Hopefully the hybrid is going to be fuel efficient, because on the Tundra, the hybrid, they're 3.5 liter V6 with hybrid option in the real world isn't doing that much for improving fuel economy. It's good for the CAFE rules. It's good for getting your miles per gallon fleet average a little bit better. It's not going to be anywhere near 50 miles per gallon, folks, but it'll probably help you get about 3 to 5 miles per gallon better than the current model. So pricing, I think Hot Cars has got it right here. They're calling for pricing to probably be about $1,500 more roughly per trim. So I think $1,000 to $1,500 more per trim makes total sense. I'd even go, I think on the higher models, I think they're right. Going from a limited to a limited, they're calling for about $1,700. Yeah, I think on the higher trims we can expect $2,000, $2,500 when you're talking about TRD Pro or the limited, or the 40th anniversary edition, a $3,000 upgrade. Yeah, price increase, absolutely. So I think price increase is going to range between, I personally really think between $1,500 to $3,000 depending on the model. So $1,500 on the lower trim, $3,000 on the higher trim. So that's what we can expect. Now, I really hope, and I don't expect it, I hope they still stick with the option of being able to jump into a third row seat on their limited model. I think we can definitely expect the iForce Max. Hot Cars called that spot on. I wish I could say that we're going to see the seat, that really fancy seat design from the Tacoma on the 4Runner. I don't know if we're going to see that, but I think that would be really quite fantastic. I'll zoom in for y'all. Toyota is a first at making one of the nicest seats I think you can get out of any vehicle. You go into supercars and good luck. This seat is really unbelievably well done in my opinion. It's the best seat that you can get on the market.
Look.
Really nice look. Gives it a little look of having a little suspension on this on the backing of the seat. Now I'll need to try that out and see if that really does work and bring you the real deal. But first, Toyota would have to like me enough to invite me out to an event. But Toyota, if you invite me to an event for the 4Runner, I will give my absolute, fairest, most unbiased review. If you have these seats, I'm going to say like, hey, this is a hot buy. If you don't have these seats, I'm not going to be, upset and say don't buy one because of it. But I'll say, hey, that was a missed opportunity to get people to squeeze out a little bit more money. Because if you throw that on the top trim, you're going to have people, or like as a $3,000 option. Heck, if I was shopping a 4Runner and those seats are $3,000, I'm buying them.
Nobody else
Hands down.
has that seat.
Nobody.
Kind of seat. Yeah.
Nobody. And I like having something special and unique. Just like you.
Oh, thank you.
Now.
He's so kind.
So.
It's just because you want me to say yes to his subwoofer in the Bronco that he's kind of like that.
So we'll have to see. I don't know if we'll see a manual out of the 4Runner like we have on the Bronco. We are still getting one on the Tacoma, the 2024 Tacoma. We're not getting it on the Ranger. Manuals are slowly dying off. I will be pleasantly surprised, but remember, surprised if it's on the 2024 4Runner. What do you think?
Oh, sorry, I was reading comments.
No problem. Do you think the 2024 4Runner will have a manual speed, let's say a 6, 7, or 8 speed manual transmission?
That's a good question. I knew that Toyota continued to do manual transmission in the truck and stuff like that. So they stick to it, but I don't know now because a lot of is
are
it a good word?
Cutting them off.
Okay,
dropping
I had
them,
ditch in my head. I'm not sure it was
no,
the right
ditching
word.
them. Yeah,
ditching
absolutely.
Them. Okay, I was not sure if it was a bad word. So yeah, they will follow the market and just ditch it. I'm afraid.
Hopefully, if they ditch it, they'll have us all forgetting about how they're not going to have a manual with the Bronco, though having a manual
But
by offering these seats.
I guess we still
throw it
have
on
a-
your highest trim or make it a $3,000-$4,000 option on all the trims, and you're going to sell a lot of those
Yeah,
seats.
but I guess we still have chances to have a manual in that one because it's an off-road car.
Yeah, it's an off-road SUV.
Yeah.
You can currently have the option of the third row when you go with the limited model. I hope that'll still be the case. Now for the 2023 4Runner 4-liter V6, miles per gallon, 16 in the city, 19 on the highway. Not great. 17 miles per gallon combined. If it has the 2.4 liter turbo I-Force, speculative, and I agree with Hot Cars on this one, probably advertised 20 in the city. I think in real life 18, highway 27, and actually 27. Yeah, possible. I'd probably say 25 going more normal speeds with a combined of 23 miles per gallon. I'd say probably with your regular standard 4-cylinder turbo I-Force engine. I think you're actually probably going to, on the vehicle that weight, you're probably going to get about 20 miles per gallon if you're careful. I think because of the weight of the vehicle, if you're not careful, I think it'll be very possible to get 19 miles per gallon. And if you throw 35-inch tires on it like the Broncos have, and you lift it 3 inches in the air, you're probably going to end up about 15 to 17 miles per gallon. Now, for the hybrid 2.4 liter turbo I-Force Max, 24 in the city. If you're super careful, I can believe that. You know, the Ford F-150 goes from basically 14 liters per 100 kilometers down to 10.5, so you're saving about roughly 35% on fuel, 32% on fuel when you have the assistance of an electric engine and a 1.1 kilowatt battery. So I can believe these numbers to be pretty spot on. Now, the highway at 27, even with now that no, because and at least Hot Cars is saying whether you have the regular 4-cylinder or the hybrid, you're going to get the same fuel economy. That is so true of hybrids that have a small battery and a small electric engine. So yeah, the main, go with the hybrid on this. It's going to be there, and you'll go with it if you do a lot of city driving. Now, the power, or if you just want power, the power on the hybrid will actually be one of those rare instances where Toyota actually has enough power, because traditionally, Toyota doesn't have enough power. Traditionally, they've got boring powertrains that use too much fuel, which is weird. You'd think if you're going to have a boring, slow powertrain, you're going to use, you know, not very much fuel. Ford somehow gives you a lot of power and, relatively speaking, has quite low fuel consumption. You look at the F-150, and Outsider Reviews tested the F-150 Power Boost. Thank you very much for sharing this. 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, anyone, maybe Marie with the camera, maybe with the other phone here, you could look up
that's really
miles
good.
per gallon. So that's really good
For
out of a
truck.
pickup. It's fantastic. So Ford's offering that with 570 pound-feet of torque, and if I recall correctly, 435 horsepower. That's incredible. When you've got a truck weighing 5,600 pounds coming in at 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers, so soon we'll have that in miles per gallon with Marie's assistance. When you have incredible fuel efficiency out of incredible power, 570 pound-feet of torque is wildly good. It's 22.4 US miles per gallon with 435 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. Historically, Toyota will offer you half as much power and use more fuel. So if Toyota has really reliable powertrains, they're great for 30, 40 years, but they're great for longevity. But it's kind of like watching a really obese person walk a marathon. Okay, they're walking it. They've got a lot of weight, so they've got some fuel stored up. They're gonna finish that marathon, but it's not the most exciting. It's the least exciting race to watch. Always gets the race done, never gets there quickly or in an impressive manner. And that's how I felt about Toyota since they ditched all the cool models from the 1990s. Guess what? Toyota MR2 from the 1990s, not very reliable from my experiences with many of them. The Celicas, not all that reliable. Toyota Supra, bulletproof powertrain. The motor is unbelievably, it's unbreakable, but, I've always had alternator issues and annoying things go down on those 90s cars. But back then, they were, Toyota was top of the game, top of the game. And I'm happy to see Toyota coming back to the top of the game, because that hybrid 4-cylinder should have about 465, somewhere between 400 to 465 pound-feet of torque, helps it compete with Jeep's 4xe, which is an unloved but wonderful powertrain.